Today's video is about a Lionel American Flyer S Gauge Fastrack switch. Uh, it's pretty boring, so if you're not interested, I won't feel bad if you don't watch it. But I'm hoping to gain some help with wiring this by some of you that know more about this than I, and maybe you can provide some help. What we're trying to do is run this Fastrack switch not on command control, not even on track control. We want to run it from an independent transformer or even the same transformer, because we're running conventional power. And it's not really a review on Fastrack, although I do have some pretty strong opinions about it. It takes a lot of hand strength to push it together. And even then, the rails don't always line up, so I'm a little frustrated with how it assembles, but I'm also frustrated with how it's wired. And hopefully some of you will see this, and maybe you can reach out to me and give me a hand with it. So here we go. What you are looking at is the inside of an American Flyer S Gauge Fastrack right hand command control switch. It's model 6-47940. It is kind of interesting to see the electronics that are built into these. You can see the solenoid that moves the points back and forth. There's a micro switch that I'm assuming maybe controls the lights, but I'm not sure. And you can see how this turnout control can be flipped over to the other side. And I've been having some problems. One of the things that's a problem is the terminals where you attach the wires. They seem to be a little bit difficult to use. And so I took it apart to address that. And also I want to find out how to wire this for constant voltage. And I've had a hard time, even with 3 boxes of these switches, I've yet to find a set of instructions. And so I've looked on the internet, and that's not real forthcoming. So I thought I would take a look for myself. I'm going to try to be as objective as possible with this switch and give it a fair chance. I think Fastrack looks good, but it's extremely difficult to put together. And I'm not an electronics guy, but I'm going to attempt to figure out how to wire this for constant voltage. These 4 leads, and I'll show you with the back put on, go to the controller, and it lights up perfectly when you have power to the track. And I think if my friend was running this on command control, it wouldn't be a problem because there would always be voltage at the track. But since he's running conventional control, it is a problem, and it only runs the turnout if the train is going fast enough. In other words, that there's enough voltage. So my understanding is I can take out the bridge that was here between these 2 terminals, add this wire, and go to a powered accessory terminal on the transformer, and his problems will be solved. Well, it didn't seem like it was that easy, so I've got to figure out what is going on with this, and we've got to do 2 switches, a right and a left. And with the left, there is a problem. It only will go to the straight position. It will not go to the left. And so I'm assuming there's a broken wire inside somewhere. But let me put this back together and we'll do some testing. So I've got the back replaced, and thought I would show you where the terminals are. These are hard to see, but the bridge that comes from the factory connects this terminal which says track power to switch power. So you remove that bridge, and then I am told that you add a wire to switch power, and then that goes to the power side of your transformer. And I'm using an 8B. I use that at my workbench, and it works just fine. And the controls are still hooked up just like they were from the factory. And I've got one lead with an alligator clip on the track on this side, and one lead with an alligator clip on the track on this side. And the light on the control lights up just fine. And everything is operational. Green, red, green, red. The lantern works. It's a great looking switch. Everything's looking fine. And I'm running on 14 volts. In fact, we'll check voltage. Yeah, 14.1. So that's good. But you can see the problem here. If I were to put a train on the track right now, it would take off at 14 volts. Now, the idea is to have the track not powered, but the problem is if I remove the track power, everything goes dead, nothing works. So somehow I've got to figure out how to separate track power from switch power. So I go back to the underside, so flip it the other way, and perhaps I should remove command power. So I'll try that. But I also noticed when I was flipping this over, there's a switch here. Don't know what that does. I can click it, but nothing appears to happen. So let's try removing the command power. I'll be right back. I removed the black wire from the command power lead and everything went dead. So that's apparently not the answer. In the meantime, I found a video that explained what this little black button is. It's how you program a command control switch. You push the button down, the lantern flashes, and then you program it so that you can run TMCC. But since we're not going to be using command control for the S gauge loop, back to the drawing board. So I think my goal is to disconnect the rail power from what controls the switch. And so I've set my electrical meter to the ohm setting so I can check for continuity. I've got one alligator clamp on the rail, and I'm going to now check all of these terminals and see if there's any continuity. So far, track power and switch power, there's not. Command power, I'm getting a reading when I touch that terminal. So that means that there is continuity with the outside rail. Let me check the other terminals. Track power, nothing. Out switch, through switch, nothing. Light, something. So I am getting some continuity there as well. And I think that's okay if the light comes on. I don't see a problem with that. But somehow I've got to figure out how to separate rail power from switch power. And that's where I'm having a dilemma. Now let's try the inside rail and check it for continuity. Now I'm getting track power. Interesting. Switch power, nothing. Command power, nothing. So it's almost as if these two run the inside and outside rails on this S Gauge 2-rail track. So I've got to figure out how to get power from the transformer, which I think this works good for a ground, this green wire on switch power. So I've tried hooking this black wire up to power. Get this back out. This is the black wire that was on command power. And let's see if that works. Well, I may have the best solution so far. What I've done is remove the bridge that connected the track power to switch power, attached one wire to switch power, disconnected the black wire that was on command power terminal, and I have my other alligator clamp coming to the black wire that goes to the control. So now we're going to test that out. We've got the control here, and so if I push it forward, it's going straight. If I push it back, it's going to the right. It's great to see it work. However, when it's going to the right, the green light is on, and when it's going straight, there's no light. So I guess I can live with that. If I want the green light to be on, or the red light to be on when it's going to the right, I guess I could swap these jewels. They just unscrew. There's an LED lamp underneath. I also want to make sure that there's no power on the track that will cause the locomotive to lurch off the track. Checking outside and inside rails, there's just a tiny bit of power, 0.1 of a volt, so that's not going to hurt anything. You know, I suppose if we were running command control, we would have the power on the rails all the time, and that would be fine, and this switch would work as normal. But since we don't want to do that, because these switches require 14 volts to run, at least that's been my finding, to run reliably, an American Flyer locomotive will just fly off the track at 14 volts. So anyway, I don't know this is a solution, but it's one way to do it, and we're going to give it a try. And thanks for watching.